Well, as you can imagine, we're going to be talking about natural hazard predictions today. So it says, how can you know when or where a natural hazard will occur? And we're going to find that out. So our lesson target today, guys, is I can use data to determine where future catastrophic events will likely occur and provide information about how people can stay safe during these events. So I want you to see the word catastrophic here. Catastrophic is going to be one of our vocabulary words today, so I don't want to go too far into it right now, but catastrophic, you've probably heard in vocabulary that you hear just every day. So this is going to be referring specifically to natural hazards. So you heard just prior to this page here, you heard that wind blowing in the background. And I want you to think about maybe what kind of a natural hazard or catastrophic event that's weather that you might hear wind like that. Okay, and I'm going to show you some pictures here at the end of this video that are going to give you some options to choose from for your project that you're going to be doing. But so the wind, like we had in that audio that you just heard too, is part of can be a catastrophic event. And catastrophic events, sorry, don't just cause damage to like trees. They displace and possibly harm organisms, including people. Catastrophic events can destroy habitat, which we learned back in the fall, every organism needs to survive, including people. And it costs a lot of money to repair a lot of times. So this whole unit is going to answer these questions. One is, how can we identify a time and location when one of these events might occur? Two is, what kind of event is likely to be found in specific areas? And then how can we make the impact less severe when a catastrophic natural hazard event occurs? All right. So if you wouldn't mind, take some time right now, if you haven't done it already, write down that lesson target. I can use data to determine where future catastrophic events could occur and provide information about how people can stay safe during these events. All right, guys. So I'm going to put up a couple words here, and I want you to think about what they mean. So when you see the word natural, what do you think of? Maybe put that down on your notes, and maybe write some words around it that make you think about what natural means, or that are associated with natural. Some words I might think of are, it's from nature, that it's not man-made. And when I think of natural foods, I think healthy. So here's your next word, hazard. Think of a few phrases or thoughts or words that you would associate with hazard. How about dangerous? Or it's time to be careful. When I see the word hazard, it makes me feel like I need to be careful. And lastly, threatening. So hazard might be something that's a threat to me. Okay, we're going to take some notes today, guys. So break out the pencil and paper. Underneath that lesson target, I want you to write down the word vocabulary, and we're going to use these for our scope on natural hazards. The word or the phrase natural hazard, it means it's an event in nature that may have a negative effect. So something bad happens from it. A catastrophic event is an extreme weather event such as hurricanes, floods, or tornadoes. Catastrophic events are classified by the size and intensity or strength of the impact that they have on an ecosystem. So the size and the strength is how we classify catastrophic events. An earthquake is your third one on this page. It says an earthquake is a major geological event caused by the sudden shift of crustal plates releasing stored energy. And typically they happen along plate boundaries. So that was one of the things that happens. We talked about very, very briefly, earthquakes happening when you have convergent boundaries where those plates are coming toward each other and they push against each other. And sometimes they get stuck, but that pressure is still building. And when that pressure builds, it stores energy. Well, eventually the one of the plates shifts, it like breaks loose. And when that sudden release of stored energy happens, that causes an earthquake. Okay, your next vocabulary word is flood. A flood is a rising body of water that submerges normally dry land. Geologic forces is your next word. Geologic forces are forces resulting from processes occurring in Earth's crust. So just like the word says, if you break it down, geo, we said, means Earth. Geologic forces are forces from within the Earth. In this case, it's the crust. Your next word is volcanic eruption. A volcanic eruption is an event in which molten lava erupts from the mantle to the surface of the Earth as lava, ash, or gases, and they're caused by subduction zones. So we talked about with plate tectonics how you have the convergent boundaries, and in a subduction zone, one goes under. Remember that word sub, that prefix sub means goes under. So subduction zones are where one plate goes under, and it makes pressure happen in the magma or in the mantle, which causes magma to rise to the surface in a volcanic chain. And when that becomes too much, it becomes an eruption. So volcanic eruptions caused by subduction zones. Your next word is atmospheric conditions. And those are the temperature, wind, and moisture in the atmosphere. That's what causes weather. Forecast is to predict or estimate the likelihood of an event in the future, especially with weather. We talk about weather forecasts all the time, but you can forecast everything from droughts to economics. It's just a prediction or an estimate that the likelihood of an event would happen. So I wanted to take a moment here and just reiterate what that left side says within the notes up there. It says that you're required to turn in your notes as evidence that you're watching the videos. I've had quite a few people turn their notes in, and I thank you for that. If you haven't been turning them in, you're missing out on points. So I need to make sure that you guys are actually watching these videos and learning from them before you do the work. These video notes are worth 5 points. That's just to let me know that you're paying attention to what I'm teaching you. So if you don't know how to do that, you can either, if you're writing this down on a piece of paper, you can take a picture of it and attach it to the assignment for video notes in your Google Classroom, or you can just start writing in the document that I provide for you for Google Notes Classroom, okay, for the video. All right, let's talk about some catastrophic events that occur in nature. These are some examples. There's volcanic eruptions and floods and mudslides, which are also called mass wasting, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes. Can you think of any more? Okay. Well, let's think about this too. I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about what these processes are. Okay, so, or what these events are. They're caused by processes. And the processes there are broken down into three types. There's interior processes, which occur inside of the Earth, surface processes, which occur on the surface of the Earth, or atmospheric processes, which are caused from things happening in the atmosphere. Okay, so typically a weather event. What I want you to do is make a 3-column chart in your notes, preferably not where the vocabulary is, but that's okay. If that's where you have it, that's where you have it. And I want you to label each of the columns interior process, surface process, and atmospheric process. We're going to come back to this table in just a minute. If you need to, you can pause here. If you are ready to go, we're going to move on. Okay, so let's talk about these processes that you have at the, labeled at the top of your table. So an interior means inside. They're occurring within the Earth's crust and mantle, and they are geologic events. Examples of geologic events would be things like, well, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to have to put that in there in that table. So geologic events. Number 2 is surface processes. And the surface processes, like I said, are things that are happening on the surface of the Earth, the processes that occur on the surface of the Earth, and they're related to weathering and erosion. Okay, think about the things that were in that little table earlier about volcanoes and earthquakes and mudslides and tornadoes when you're reading through these. Okay, atmospheric processes that occur in the atmosphere above the Earth, usually related to weather events. Okay, so these are some examples or some vocabulary basically for what you're going to be doing here in just a second. Okay, so you go back to your table and I want you to look at these events over here. Okay, so you've got floods, tsunamis, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, and mass wasting, okay? Or mudslides. Okay, so see if you can put right now each of these events into one of the processes that cause them. Where would floods go? Would they be an interior process? Would they be a surface process? Would it be an atmospheric process? Tsunamis, interior, surface, atmospheric. And take some time right now and do that. You can pause the video. Okay. Here is what it should look like. If it doesn't look like this, you can go ahead and move the things to where they should be. So volcanic eruptions and earthquakes are both caused by tectonic plates moving. Mass wasting, also called mudslides, and tsunamis are both processes that occur on the surface of the Earth. And hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods are all influenced and made by weather events that were created by heat and moisture in the atmosphere. So be thinking about like where the processes are occurring, not necessarily where the damage is done. So it says floods do occur on the surface of the Earth, but they are caused by the meteorological events of heavy rains. Tsunamis are another one that's kind of confusing because you would think that, well, a tsunami is caused by an earthquake, so therefore it must be a geologic process or an interior process, but it isn't. It is, yes, the earthquake causes it, but it causes tsunamis sometimes. But it's considered actually a surface process. Okay, so now you know what natural hazards are and what are some examples of catastrophic events, as well as the vocabulary associated with this information. Okay, your grid work for your assignment. That's only a 3-day week this week, guys. So you only have to do one assignment this week instead of 2. So you can choose from an online option or you can choose the offline option. Here's what the online option is. You're going to create a 30 to 45 second video about natural disaster. So it has to follow these criteria. You are supposed to make a video that would, if I were to close my eyes, I would know which natural hazard you chose to make a sound about. Okay. So what I have here, it says, pick a natural disaster or natural hazard. And I want you to think about what it would sound like. I am going to choose, for an example, a wildfire. You can't choose wildfire. It's not going to be one of your options. So just think about this, okay? So if I choose wildfire as a natural hazard, thinking about what would it sound like, it would probably have crackling and popping and roaring. So now I need to find something around the house, or a few things around the house, that would make those sounds. So if I were, think about being, oh gosh, I was thinking about like when people animate things, you don't get to see like exactly what it is that they're using in animation for the sounds. So people are actually, they used to use aluminum sheets to make thunder and things like that. So I'm going to think about, for a wildfire, what it makes crackling, popping, and roaring sounds. Well, if I take pop cans and I crinkle them, or I break sticks and then I roll my chair over the floor like that, it makes a deep roar. So if I had all those things, it might not sound exactly like a wildfire, but it would have all the elements that I'm thinking of. Okay, so now I know what I want to do. I know what I want to use to make the sounds. So now I'm going to present it in a 30 to 45 second video. So I need to address these 4 things, A, B, C, D. What would be happening before the fire? So I would say there is a lightning, my natural hazard is wildfire. And before the wildfire happens, there was a lightning storm. My next thing is, it would sound like, this wildfire would sound like this. Okay. What would be happening during the event? Well, now flames are blazing, animals are running, trees are falling, wind is whipping. I'm thinking about what it would be like to be in this natural hazard. Where is a safe place for me to escape? So I could either, if I was camping, I could get in my car and drive away from it, or I could get in my boat and head for the middle of the lake that I'm camped in or camped at. Okay, so now I've done it, 30 to 45 seconds. I have presented what it is that I want to present. I wanted to have it be a wildfire. This is what it sounds like. This is what is happening during the event, and this is my place for escape. Okay, so you get to do this. And I'm going to give you some things to choose from in just a minute. Have your family help you too, if you want. Kind of make a symphony of sounds. It's way more fun to do it with people, and now's a great time for you to have help. Okay, your second option. Oh, here's some ideas for things that you can use at home as well. You can use, this is stuff that came out of STEMscope, so it says reusable or consumable, but just anything you have around the house, like plastic bottles, pans. You can shake them and make all kinds of sounds. You can use foil, you can use plastic, you can use wax paper or rice in a container, all different poster boards or whatever you want to make sounds, okay? Your second option is the offline option. This is a natural disaster comic strip or a story script. So in the offline part, you're going to imagine that you are blind and about to experience a natural hazard. So you're going to tell us about this, okay? So you're going to choose one natural hazard from the images that I'm going to provide you with, and you're going to fill in each of the 6 boxes in a comic strip skeleton with drawings describing the event before, during, and after. Exactly like what I did in the video. I said what the natural hazard was, what it sounded like. I was giving you the sounds, but you actually get to, in a comic strip, you get to describe the sounds. And then where's a safe place for you to go after, or what is it like afterwards? Okay. Also, you have the option to do a story script. Mr. Hook has provided a story spine for you to use. So you have something to go off of with that. If writing is your thing, then this might be your option. Okay, so here are your 6 options for natural hazards. You can do a dust storm, a tsunami, a volcanic eruption, an earthquake, flooding, or a tornado. Choose only one. You can either do your 30 to 45-second video, or you can do your written comic strip or story spine. The story spine and the comic strip outlines will be provided for you in your Google Classroom. So that's it, guys. One thing to do this week, and I can't wait to hear what you guys put together in terms of videos and read your comic strips and stories. One thing I do want to say is you cannot use anything that's like a canned sound. So don't get online and find a sound and then put it in your video. You actually have to make it yourself, okay? And rain sticks are, Mr. Hook has decided, and I agree with him, you cannot use a rain stick. Okay. All right, so guys, have fun with this, and I can't wait to see what you turn in. All right, bye-bye.